because we're going live. Okay.
You always give away the goods.
You are live now.
And you get the, what is that saying? You get the cow and have the milk for free.
That's right.
Or buy the cow and get the milk for free.
Yeah. And of course, now we'll go to
live Facebook.
Share. There it is. Hello, living low sodium. Oh, I didn't say my low so lifestyle. Sorry.
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
I don't know what's going on. I change it every week.
I don't know where I'm at. Oh, there I am.
It's showing up where we need it to be shown up at.
Sure.
Okay, ready, people? Here we go.
Sure.
Let's see what we can do here.
Copycat. Why does it say copycat?
I don't know, but here we go. Because I didn't change it. I'll change it.
Too late.
God,
Too
fell
late.
apart my job.
That is an awesome freeze frame image there.
Welcome to Living Low Sodium with Mary Shep. Join Mary as she tickles your taste buds with her salty wit and her exceptional palate, all whilst guiding us through the land of, well, low sodium. Today, it's not copycat, but it's why wait.
We had a production error.
Why wait?
Why wait? Why do we wait?
There's one thing, right? It's
the irony of the
Right.
whole why wait is I had to, this was supposed to be last week's show, and then some things came up and I had to reschedule. So I'm doing a show about why do we wait. And then we had to wait for the show that's called Why Do We Wait?
Why do we wait? That's wonderful. Can I edit it? Let's see.
Probably not, because I just shared it all over the place. So it.
Oh,
maybe. Yeah, you could probably.
I'll play with it a little bit. Let's see.
You guys get to hear us chatter live.
There we go.
A lot of great, riveting radio. Hey, Gwen.
That's right.
So, for those of you that watch and follow, and the ones that are actually friends with me, like personal friends with me on my Facebook, it's kind of funny because I had posted, if anybody wants to crash my show, I'd bring them lasagna.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
And it was absolutely fantastic. And no one, the caveat was, the catch is, you gotta be willing to talk about your relationship with food. Nobody took me up on my offer.
There we go.
So,
thank God, huh?
Boo-hoo. But thankfully they didn't, because after slaving over this nice, beautiful pan of lasagna, low sodium, I used some Swiss cheese instead of, mozzarella, used some low sodium Munster, the Bel Gioioso ricotta cheese is only like 90 milligrams. Made my own sauce, of course. Hey, Dad. So
5, 6, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Eastern Central. So I slave over this lasagna, and I think that's the part that's so aggravating. This isn't a dish that you just throw a bunch of stuff in a pot and put it in the oven, or in a soup pot, or whatever. You microwave it. It takes a lot of effort, and there's a lot of components to a lasagna. So I slave over this beautiful lasagna. And because I didn't have my aluminum pan, I made it in one of my glass Pyrex pans. And if any of you have ever had one of those things explode on you, and yes, it says that they're not supposed to, and they're supposed to be shatterproof, they will, after a certain period of time, if there's any flaw in them whatsoever, they will literally grenade. My dad can attest to this, because when we were younger in our house in McCollum Lake, it exploded, and a piece of it shot like 15 feet into the dining room and melted a perfect half moon shape instantly into the carpet.
Whoa. Nice.
Yeah, it is horribly bad. So you can't just throw it in the fridge. So I put it in the microwave so that this pan could cool. So this morning when I got up to cut a couple slices to bring them into the station, like I normally do, and realized there was no lasagna in the refrigerator. There was lasagna in the microwave that had been sitting there for hours upon hours upon hours.
Cooling.
So, for my own safety and those of others, I opted not to eat that or share it. So
yeah. And
it went.
Now let's do this for everybody who's listening. We're going to do this a couple times during this show. You're switching times. You're switching days.
We are.
What's happening?
I don't know.
Stay tuned.
I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what I'm doing. So I've been going back and forth with this because we switched to Monday nights.
You know what you should do is put out there on My Loso
I
Lifestyle
did.
and say, what is a good time for the show?
I did that. And that's how we came up with Monday nights, because I did a poll.
Yeah.
And we came up with Monday nights. People wanted to be more interactive.
Yeah.
And so now I'm on Monday nights and nobody's interactive.
Right.
Nobody watches
Everybody's
it.
tired.
Everybody's, so in theory it sounds good, but when I was in Thursday mornings, everybody tuned in and our ratings were better.
People were there,
which
yeah.
predominantly, I know everybody in Facebook land watches me on Facebook, which is fantastic. Continue to do so.
Yeah.
Please subscribe to the YouTube channel for 216 The Net. We're trying to reach some goals
Yeah.
with that. But first and foremost, we're a radio station
Mm-hmm.
globally. So my
Globally.
ratings are actually pretty good on the radio station, but they were better Thursday mornings. So I'll announce it here in the next week or so. Actually, probably in the next few days, we'll finalize it.
Yeah.
But it looks like right now that we're going to be going for Thursday mornings at 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
breakfast,
Yes.
low sodium breakfast. Nice.
Pete would love that because he loves
Yeah.
the little breakfast bites and French
Yeah.
toast sticks and all that kind of stuff.
Yogurt.
Right? Oh, I do love me some yogurt in the morning.
You know what I had? I had Chobani Greek.
I'm a Siggy's girl.
Oh, I haven't had that yet, but it was honey. It was honey and it was
See,
delicious.
My issue is, are we nobodies? See, Gwen, you are not a nobody and you follow me everywhere.
I
So
love
you
it.
can't complain because you'll find me wherever I go. And I love you for that. But I'm really particular about yogurt. I
Yeah.
don't, it's a textural thing.
Okay.
So many of them have this weird granular grittiness. It's
Especially
just-
Greek yogurt.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not, or the acidity or
And you
what.
like
It's
what?
just
Seabees?
Siggy's.
Siggy's. Oh, yeah.
Siggi.
Well, I haven't had that, but I've heard good things about it.
It is the most minimal ingredients.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely fantastic. So I'm a huge fan of Siggy's. 6 a.m. here, not even up. Oh my God, Gwen, you're killing me.
Well, move back this way.
And we're going to talk about it, but it's hard because
Yeah.
between producing the show and writing the show and getting the show
Working
in and
60
it's-
hours.
Yeah, working and all that other stuff. So
Taking,
we're gonna
taking care of Ben, another 60 hours.
yeah, being married.
That's right.
Love you, honey. So yeah, no, it's a work. That right now. That is the best time that we have come up with. That doesn't exhaust me too much. So it's just kind of, I can't read. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't.
Yeah,
read
so
what
he
it
just
is.
says, hey, it took his first course in his master's
Yeah.
degree was in marketing. First rule is who you are. The second rule is a schedule, or telling people what is going on.
Yep.
When I click on 216 anywhere, I should.
It probably got cut off.
Yeah, there's only so many.
Yeah, it only lets you put so much things. Yeah, the 216 The Net, that's the website is
That's
a work in progress
Yeah.
because that was kind of shifting over. So we're working on getting a calendar on there.
Yep.
So that it'll show exactly what shows are on each day. It doesn't help that, talent such as myself keeps switching when I put my shows on. So it keeps
Well,
changing the
we
schedule.
want you to be happy with as much as we pay you here. That's
Right. But
We
yeah,
want-
so it might switch. So stay
Yeah.
tuned because I'll announce it here in the near future. We'll be switching it around just so it makes it a little bit easier on me because I have about 8 billion things going on.
Yes, you
And
do.
Monday night shows are just a little bit tricky for me. So we'll see. But right now it's looking at a tentative date is the Thursdays at 8 a.m. But
Mhm.
it might switch around. So as I always do when I'm trying to think of a topic for this show, and it usually comes to me after the same question is posed to me about 1,000 times right before a show. And this past week, and it happens every week, but it just clicked and it sounded like a good idea because someone very close to me found out that he's got like stroke level blood pressure
Ooh-wee.
and it terrified him.
Sure.
So it's funny to me that after I turned 40, it seems at least once a week someone shoots me a message and says, what time is your show again? What's your website? I got to start paying attention to because my doctor just told me I got to go low sodium.
Oh, boy.
Oh, okay.
Ding, 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 ding.
I haven't been doing this forever, but I've been getting yelled at for yammering on about food since 2015, at least low sodium food, because I've never shut up about food in general. I never shut up about anything. Hence the reason why I'm a
Yeah, but you're not as annoying as a Guy Fieri.
True.
Guy, we
Fieri.
appreciate, however you
Fieri.
say Fieri, however you say that. But Guy, we appreciate you tuning in.
Right?
No offense, but we'd love to have you on the show if you want to be.
Oh, that would be a fun topic.
I would.
Why do you use so much salt? So it's just funny to me because myself included, I'm not innocent in this topic today of why wait.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, my husband and I, we quit drinking soda back in 2012 or something, partially because we were buying a ton of it. And it was like, holy cow, we're drinking a boatload of caffeine and sugar all the time. This cannot be good for us. So we cut back. And we've always ate fairly healthy. We still would go out from time to time, go out to dinner, order pizzas and stuff like that. But once we moved in together, we very rarely did like the fast food McDonald's kind of thing.
Yeah.
I will say that we have always been kind of gluttonous for Taco Bell. And then they got rid of the Mexican pizza, and now we haven't been back.
Yeah.
Like, what the?
Yeah, why did they?
Why?
Yeah.
Seriously? But whatever. But even myself, like I didn't truly value my health until it was a problem.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's everybody.
right. And even people who are in my shoes that get to my extreme where they're sitting in a hospital with organ failure and they still kind of go, well, I quit drinking. So I'm, I can still smoke. I mean, they told me I had to quit drinking. So I quit drinking. No, you need, the only reason I'm doing so good is because I quit drinking, I quit smoking and completely overhauled my diet. But it wasn't the diet that I overhauled. It was my perspective on how I valued the importance of my health.
Yeah. About 10 years ago, right, my mom and dad, when it's early 70s or 70, doctor was like, yeah, you're going to have to change your lifestyle here if you want to live to see 75.
Right.
So then they changed their habits. And they both lost substantial amount of weight where people are like, oh, you're going through chemotherapy.
Are you sick? What's wrong?
Yeah. And so at that time I go, man, I'm not going to wait till I'm 70.
Right. You're not 70.
I'm not 70. Right. So to me though, it was always easier to put on a few inches on my shoulders and chest than it was to take inches off of my gut. So I would work out hard and increase the upper body, but the lower body kept increasing too.
And it's funny because it is, and I've said this a million times, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But when you actually step back and look at life, nothing about it is easy. Nothing. Absolutely nothing about it is easy. But there's so many things that you just accept as your norm. So you do them. And if you actually comprehended the amount of neurological things that happen just for you to walk down a flight of stairs, get in your car, and then drive across town, let alone like the power that your body has. But as I was sitting here thinking about, it's such a conflicting thing for me to feel because on one hand, I'm 100% guilty of it. But on the other hand, your brain's going, how can you be so stupid? Like, seriously, how are you this? How can you not see this? How can you not understand this importance? And so it's weird because it's one of those things where you want to scream at the top of your lungs to tell people like there's got to be an importance behind food. And I think the caveat or the catalyst, that straw that broke the camel's back, is literally after about, I think it was 4 different friends of mine had mentioned that this past week, that they need to start watching not, just their sodium, but their health and their whatever and so on and so forth. But it was just sitting down and thinking about how easy it is for me now. And the level of importance that I put, I like the level of importance that I put on my health versus just food is significant. And it wasn't it was never I don't want to die or I don't want to whatever. It was how do I fix this?
Yeah.
It was how do I fix this? And as I'm sitting there, I was talking to someone that is younger, and they have absolutely no concept, no idea the value of money. And that was that straw. Like the things that we express upon the people that we influence, whether it be the people that you employ, or your children, or you set those standards for them. So that was that moment where I was like, how is this not important? How is this not something that you have a car, you have a life, but it doesn't matter, because if I run out of money, it just auto replenishes from my mom's credit card.
Or
Dad, where were you on that one? Because where was the app when I was a kid?
well,
you would auto replenish me every time I wanted more money.
Well, and I like what he says. He says, I took dad privilege because
Right.
I want you guys to succeed. So there's that too. As a parent, you're like, well, we won't go 100% healthy because
Right.
you should eat some dirt as a kid, and
Right.
have a Twinkie, and
Right.
put some of this garbage in your body so your body knows how to handle it. Right.
Right. And it's hard because it's not something where I want to shame or belittle my parents or you as a father or my friends as parents.
Sure.
I'm not judging anybody because they take their kids through McDonald's. That's not the problem. It's that when you value something or you see something as important, the perspective is different. And we were talking about this before, where like if your kid goes running across the kitchen and sees something on the floor and picks it up, and it's an ant trap with pesticides in it, you're going to scream so loud they're going to crap their pants and drop it and cry because you freaked them out. And then you're going to go over and apologize and say, no, I'm sorry, I scared you. I didn't mean to scare you, but that's really bad. It's going to make you super sick and you're going to die. So if we took that same level to food, and that's of course goes back to our other 100 years of food history, where my parents and your parents, there was no education about food and the detriment that some of them, and trans fats and all these things that they're slowly eliminating. You didn't have that knowledge back then.
Yeah, and you remember when you got your first microwave, and your mom and dad were like, "Don't stand too close to that. You're going to get cancer.
It's going to fry your brains."
However, let's eat what comes out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But here,
spam.
There's not.
I mean, that stuff is fantastic. Fried spam, I would still eat that. I'd eat the whole freaking can if you
so
gave
good.
me half a chance.
So good. So good. So salty.
Right. It's like 7 weeks worth of salt for me, but I would totally muscle through it.
So, the interesting thing is, of course, I'm on the Noom journey, and to our good friends at Noom, thank you. It's working. And now my
that's
wife,
a psychology thing, not a
it
diet.
is. It is. It's not a fad diet. It really works. And now my wife is getting involved in this. And so we went out shopping yesterday and got healthy food. I mean, in our cart, and no unhealthy food. And the interesting thing is, you have to meal prep.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that she hasn't done. So I'm just kind of watching her and don't say anything. And then this morning she goes, maybe we're going to start tomorrow because I didn't prepare any of these. All the meals are kind of, you prepare them in advance. I said, yeah. Well, why didn't you say something yesterday?
That's funny.
Right now, a lot of that, a little bit of psychological too, is if I would have said something, hey, we enjoyed Easter and it is what it is. But, I was sitting there yesterday going, yeah, I mean, we should be right now fixing
Right.
what we're going to have for all week for lunches.
And that it used to be that way.
Yeah.
You know, before there was fast food, that was the only choice. There was no TV dinners and fast food.
Right.
No, you know what? We didn't make anything tonight, so let's just swing through a McDonald's.
Yep. Nope.
And
None of that.
so it's with my lifestyle, I go to the grocery store almost daily.
Yeah.
And it's just because we cook fresh all the time. So it's not that it's easy, but because it has become so much of our norm and my dad's had my spaghetti sauce. So it was one of the first things I made for him and my stepmom. You know, I was like, well, I can whip it up real quick. And that common consensus of, and I remember us reminiscing over Virgil's sauce that he used to make, a good friend of my dad's who's since passed. But it was an all-day event.
Yeah.
And trust me, I've got bolognese sauce. It's the same thing. But for a quick dinner, the San Marzano tomatoes in a can from Italy, they're not necessarily the cheapest.
No,
it's
they're good.
$4 a can. But just that can with some sauteed onions and some wine and some garlic and a couple other things, mash it up right in the pan. By the time the noodles were done boiling, we, just toss it in the pan. And first thing out of my dad's mouth was like, holy, this is really good.
So I said good stuff.
Right. And he's looking at me. I said, so it was a few weeks later, my stepmom sends me a message and you're like, what was that recipe again? How do I make it? So you have this preconceived notion of how difficult it's going to be.
Yeah.
But once you get in that routine and once you have that perspective of the importance of that lifestyle, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah.
Than you would ever think.
Well, my wife, God, her mom is a fantastic cook, but they're junk food junkies. And so that's, my wife has said, well, the fruits and vegetables, they don't last long. Yeah, that's because the kids are eating them.
You got to eat them.
That's because the kids are eating them. But, the box of Twinkies, that'll last through the Holocaust, right?
Right.
But the interesting thing is, why wait is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And right? So that's our mentality.
And that's what's funny is so for those of you in the retail world, and if by some weird possibility that my boss is listening, I doubt it, but if he was, kudos to you, because this is he's who introduced me to this. The ladder of accountability. And you have, I'll have to pull up my thing here because I'm not going to be able to remember it right off the top of my head. So
you want this? You wrote it out for me.
I have. Well, the bottom half of the ladder is victim behaviors,
yes.
And the top half is accountability behaviors. So the victim behaviors are, wait and hope, excuses, and you blame others, and I don't know. And then your accountability behaviors are to acknowledge reality and own it and find solutions and then make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is always, where do you fall on the ladder of accountability? So when you sit here and say, well, it's the fast food. So McDonald's is the number one purchaser of beef, pork, and tomatoes.
Huh.
Like
worldwide.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you look, so there's a documentary called Food Inc. from like 2007
it was good.
or 17 or something like that. It was a little ways ago. It was really good. But the politics and the lobbying behind our food industry since the beginning is absolutely ridiculous. So then you look at this ladder of accountability and go, there's nothing I can do about it. Excuse. I don't have enough time. I don't have control. I have no influence. And that, I'm sorry to say, is bullshit. Because the younger generations that are wanting non-GMO, which there's some argument that just about anything is genetically modified, because if you grow this kind of corn to grow better in Illinois versus Georgia, that's technically you're genetically modifying it. But I get what they're saying, like actually sticking a needle and modifying the genes of something to grow to your advantage. Or
having a grapple.
Right. So, but because of their buying patterns, Walmart specifically went out and said, we're going to stop selling products that have this, that, or the other in it. So when you say that you don't, and there was a good quote from that movie that says, you think you don't have an opinion or you don't have a say. Every single swipe of an item past the grocery belt is a vote. So when you choose to buy organic foods and you choose to buy real produce or locally sourced produce or market produce, or like the Food Shed that we'll be talking about more here in the near future because they just landed some property up in Woodstock.
Excellent.
So we're going to actually have our own food co-op here in the area, which is it's a grocery store, full service grocery store with everything else that other grocery stores have, just a smaller footprint. It's not Walmart, but it supports locally sustainable produce. So when you buy that stuff, it forces the hand of the people that feed the big ag. Because when you look at meat producers, I think there's 5 for beef and 4 for pork. And they own everybody. So like Tyson Foods is the largest food producer globally.
Huh. Interesting.
And their chickens. So anyways, we'll go switch subjects. I don't want to get shut off here for pissing off Tyson Foods.
That's right.
Tyson Foods, we love you and your chicken nuggets.
Thank you for listening, Tyson.
Right. But that ladder of accountability. And you go, okay, so is it the grocery store's fault? Is it the food, the fast food places, the TV dinners?
Yeah, they put it on the end cap. They put it right there in eyesight.
Well, and it's funny because grocery stores have very good marketing departments where they specifically put what they want you to buy at eye level.
Yeah.
So your low sodium stuff is either going to be on the top shelf or the bottom shelf. Your healthy stuff, same thing. It's going to be off to the side, behind the pole, down at your feet. So you got to look around to find the stuff that
We have to have it.
Right.
But we don't have to put it in a good place.
And of course, now this shift to organic and this, that, and the other. And it's sad because once, the big corporations get their paws in things, they tend to skew the information at hand just a little bit. But if you take that accountability onto yourself and say, I'm going to pay attention, I'm going to be present in my own life, and I'm going to set a good example to those around me. So, when it comes to food, predominantly you're setting a good example to your kids or, the younger generation that's coming behind you. So it is nice to see these restaurants that have better choices and better options. But it was just funny because, you drive down the road and how many times I get a message that says, what fast food can I eat? None is the answer. I mean, technically, yes, you can eat whatever the hell you want. You're an adult, and even if you're not an adult and you're a kid, you're still going to do whatever the hell you want.
Jimmy John's on which, that's it.
Right. but you're going to eat whatever you want. But if you're asking me what you can eat that fits the parameter of your lifestyle to a T, it is nothing. There is not a fast food place unless you get a salad with no dressing.
Still, there's a lot of sugar in those.
Right. Depending on what kind of salad you get.
Right. From where. Yeah.
Right. And if it has craisins or covered anything or salted almonds, anything, like if it's not
Breaded
just your
chicken.
standard old, right. If it's got cheese in it, like any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think that's part of the why I continue to do the show in my webpage and everything is to try and convince people, like, you don't want to be in my shoes. And I wish that I could put like Eddie Murphy puts on a fat suit.
Right.
I wish I could have a 6 suit. Like you could see how I felt every day going through my life. Because maybe that would be more inclined to change your mind because people look at me and they go, you look really good.
Listen, I made fun of my dad when he was about my age.
Yeah.
How do you let yourself go like that?
Mm-hmm.
Dad, yeah.
I would never do that.
I'll never do that. Well, I tell my kids, be careful what you ask for.
Right.
Right. And
it's easy.
But every day I wake up and I go, I'm pissed at myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pissed at myself that I used to be a college athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Now I look like
2 college athletes.
fat dad. Right. a serious dad body,
Right.
right? And it makes. I'm just sitting there every day. I'm like, God, and yet, I all right. I changed some eating habits, but then I got rid of the exercise,
Mm-hmm. And that's
right?
so
So why wait? Well,
it's so hard. And that's part of the reason why I like the new. And even though I haven't tried it, I know quite a few people who have, and I like the fact that it's more of a lifestyle psychology of how your relationship is with food and health versus a fad diet, a low whatever diet. So when people ask me what it is that I do, and it's almost upsetting to me that like liver disease or diabetes or heart disease or
heart
any of these
disease.
things,
Oof.
they just tell you simply, you got to watch your sugar. You got to watch your salt. And that's it. But you should almost like driver's ed. You should almost require these people to take a class because it really truly is about balance. You need like I have to watch my potassium. Everybody knows I hate bananas, and that's why I got to eat
You had
bananas.
a nice
sometimes.
banana sandwich the other day, or something.
I did bananas with the Siggy's yogurt and Annabelle's honey, which is local honey. And if you could support local honey, it actually helps with your allergies if you have allergies. But I eat bananas because when you eat green bananas versus ripe bananas, they're lower on the glycemic index. So they're higher in fiber, lower in sugar, and they're high in potassium. And even my chiropractor, he's like, you can like avocados. I said, yeah, but an avocado is not easy to peel and eat in 30 seconds at work when I need.
I mean, they are delicious.
Right. When I need an energy boost. Yeah. A banana is that easy thing for me because the potassium helps my body eliminate sodium.
She says, I have always felt that we are on a low-so journey to stay alive rather than a diet.
Absolutely, Gwen. Absolutely. And it's not just low sodium. It's anything. It's all, whether you're sugar or fats or carbs or an allergy to nuts or milk or anything else. If you eliminate, so I don't drink a whole lot of milk. I just don't.
I don't either. None.
We drank whole milk as a kid. Ooh, so when I do want
like
milk,
paint.
Right, it's fantastic. I can't. Everything else is just so gross. It's so watered down. Eesh. But that's, we used to get milk from the farm, from King's Farm, who Hefzibah Farms.
Drink sweet cream for crying out
loud. Hefzibah Farms, on a side tangent, managed to acquire. They're up in Hebron. They managed to acquire the rights to the King barn. So those of you that are from the area, King's Farm used to be where the original Walmart was and had all of the land over there. They sold a portion of their land to Walmart originally and then to the subdivision. So that whole stretch of McCall Lake Road used to be King's Farm. Oh. And he sold and sold and sold and sold. So that's where I used to go get milk as a little girl. Oh, sure. My neighbor, Virginia, we would go up on Sunday and get milk, and she taught me how to make my first loaf of bread. But he's since passed and the farm has dwindled down and his kids and whatever. So, I believe they're selling off the last part of land that the original barn sits on. And because it's historical. So those of you that have paid attention in the area and drive down McCall Lake Road on that corner, Hefzibah Farms have been meticulously taking this entire ginormous barn apart piece by piece to put it back together on their farm to keep the antique heritage alive. So it's pretty cool. Now, of course, now I went on a tangent and I lost where I was. Oh, bananas. So the balance of that lifestyle or that journey, whether it be sugar or salt or otherwise, it really does need to be a balance of all of those things. So I've learned over time, whether it's if I have headaches or cramps in my legs, for those of you that have a low sodium, whether it's heart disease or kidneys or liver or anything else or Mariners, almost all of us take it too far initially and we go super low sodium. And then we start getting muscular cramps and things of that nature because you need those electrolytes to function. They are very important in your nerve function, your muscles, the whole 9 yards. So when you go too far, you start to get those leg cramps and the restless leg syndrome and all this stuff. So there's that balance. And it's not just salt, because a lot of times people think of the salt that you eat, like in potato chips and in food, is the same as sodium in your body. It's the same with protein. Just because you eat a burger, it does affect the protein in your body, but it's actually processed and digested and turned into something else. The way your cells actually receive sodium, like salt is sodium chloride. It's a compound.
Yeah.
Sodium in your body is a different thing. And the way your cellular, so my sodium always runs super, super low because of the way that my cells react with sodium. So it's not, you can't just eat more salt and have your sodium levels rise. They do, but it's not quite how it works. Usually it just ends up attaching to the water in your body and floating around in your blood and flooding your brain. So there's that.
There's that.
But that's like, why would you wait? Why would you? And I get it. So I don't have MS, but what my transverse myelitis is pretty close to MS. And a common saying with people with MS is you don't know until you get it. You just don't. You can't explain it.
Yeah.
So I get it. I'm different because of the fact that I have liver disease and I have transverse myelitis. So when I'm looking at you going, I wish that I could like Alakazam for a day just so you can go, holy shit, I do. No. I do not want to do that the rest of my life. Okay. So what were you saying about a lifestyle change?
Yeah. Right.
You wish that you could have that insight, kind of like the machine that someone built to make it so men can experience pregnancy.
But you've seen it and I've seen it.
Right.
Mom and dad, vegans or whatever, a certain lifestyle, let's say, right? And they push it and push it and push it, and they talk to their kids about it. And then all of a sudden, I go to college and I have that first burger.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, holy crap, I've been missing out on this.
Right.
So how do you can make urgency for your kids, but at the same time, all of a sudden I have that milkshake or that blizzard and go, what? My mom and dad didn't know what they were talking about. This is fantastic.
That's what I think the problem is. The problem is that it's always a food relationship. It's not a lifestyle. So as a deacon, you don't preach that you have to be a certain way or you have to believe in a certain God. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's how you treat people. It's your perspective of your fellow man, black, white, purple, polka dotted or otherwise.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle. So you can have coffee with, an agnostic, a Lutheran or whoever. It's purely a lifestyle that you preach. And I think that needs to be the same with
interesting. I like that. Yeah.
With your health. It's not, we focus so much on food. So then you have a good or a bad relationship. Because as kids, you're going to do exactly, my husband, he's a grown ass man. He is going to do exactly the opposite of anything I tell him to do. I don't care what it is. If I say, hey, honey, you should eat mushrooms, you will cure everything and you'll never get sick again. I don't want to eat mushrooms.
I'm not going to eat mushrooms.
I'm not going to eat that.
Yeah.
And it's the same with kids. Like if you tell them to be vegan, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to go out. An Amish kid, the first chance they get to do their Ramadan,
Ramadan.
They're going to run out and experience the world. The same with all my friends that went to Catholic school. They're drilled this Catholicism down their throat. You can't this, you can't that. So the second they get out of school, they go and search for the worst thing that they could possibly find. So why can't it just be that you, an emphasis on, in that importance of your health, period. You can have burgers.
Hey, they're going to be
just
good.
know where it comes from.
Right. You're going to love them.
Right.
They taste great.
Realize
but
that it's fat. Right. You can have ice cream. That's fine too. I love Julienne's. Don't get me wrong. Now that it broke 70 degrees, I'm already shooting messages out like, hey, Thursday night ice cream is coming along.
Yeah.
The
angels are singing.
The waters have parted. And I'm going to be heading down 14 to Julienne's once a week with all my friends. But it's It's the same, and that's why that catalyst was the value of money. Because I got home and I'm telling my husband about it. And in school, in Mr. Eiserman's class, so anybody out here listening that's
Mr.
local,
Eiserman.
you know Mr. Eiserman. He just had a street named after him. He's an honorary street because he's been a teacher at Parkland for all me and my
Forever.
sisters, my husband, everybody. And we had a class, like a full semester of math was checkbooks and home budgeting.
Yeah.
He gave us Monopoly money. He had a little store that you could pay him with your Monopoly money to buy candy bars or a soda or whatever.
Nice.
But you had to, so of course my husband looks, he says, no one has checks we don't even have checks anymore.
No, it's debit card.
I get it, but the concept is there to understand how to balance, how to plan and project
You're talking to a
and
banker.
see the future,
Yeah,
and realize that if you spend $5 a day on Starbucks, how much does that equate to? And you could buy a car if you're spending $5 a day on Starbucks.
Absolutely.
So when you learn that value of money, it's the same with health. So my husband and I both, in sixth grade, you're 12, 13. We didn't have jobs. We didn't have checkbooks. I think my husband might have had a bank account because he had a savings because of his parents. I think I got mine in seventh grade. My dad took me down McHenry Savings Bank, got me a bank. I got my checkbook. But it's this, they don't teach that anymore. Even in school, it was required that we take at least one semester of health.
Sure.
And they don't do it anymore.
So who makes it a relationship with food? Is it society?
It would be all of the society, your parents, the whole. It's like how does somebody like me start a movement like that where it's not a food thing? It's purely an education. You need to know what food is. You need to know that it shouldn't be a requirement if you just want to be a doctor or a dietitian or whatever. You should be taught early on that this is what food does to your body. This is how you process sugar. So something as stupid as the fact that, dogs and cats, because of the fact by nature as animals, they're still more closely to, hunt and eat what you can eat. They don't process fats the same. So why does everybody have obese animals? Because we feed them our food. So it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
They just get extremely fat, and then you see these little squishy tumors all over them. That's all it is.
That's our food.
That's our food, and that's why your dog is fat, because it's okay if I give him one piece of salami. No. Like your 10-year-old dog is going to die at 6 because you did that.
Yeah.
So when people look at me and they're like, that's really harsh of you. No, screw you. You're going to kill your dog.
You're going to kill yourself.
Right. Like
listen, I was on vacation this past week.
So Krispy Kremes are excused. Okay.
Yeah.
There's certain
but let me tell
there's
you.
certain things we're gonna justify.
Let me tell you, for the last 7 months, I've been working the Noom, and this vacation was like running into an old lover.
you didn't fall off that wagon. You crashed it, rolled it.
Boy.
And you're going to have to spend 2 weeks putting it back together.
Oh, it's already.
Yeah.
I mean, my back hurts. I gained weight.
Yeah.
I mean, because drinking and eating and the shrimp and grits down there, just come on, right? And and then you're sitting around with adult children drinking and playing cards, and you look at your watch like, well, let's go eat after you've been snacking on crap all day and drinking alcohol. My back hurts.
Yeah.
We tried to go on a walk last night, and we couldn't walk as far as we normally do because my back hurt.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
Right?
It's brutal.
And I looked at it, and I knew in my mind, well, I shouldn't be doing this. Mm-hmm. But I was like, hey, lover, here we go. Yeah.
I would have done the same thing.
My wife will never know. Let's get down and dirty. That's the way I was. It was bad.
The smell
Oh,
like 2 miles away.
oh.
You're just like, it's like a crack addiction. That's a crispy
fresh,
Kreme. Then
fresh seafood.
right.
But instead of eating it fresh, she's like, "Yeah, why don't you go ahead? You dip fry that in whatever it
Yep.
is. Those
Love and happiness.
oysters, just deep fry them, babies. I'll
Yep.
eat those." Yeah.
And that's my point. Is it shouldn't be that you can't have those things.
Yeah.
And it's hard because whenever I see someone who talks about a cheat day or a cheat week or a cheat meal or a cheat Thanksgiving, and my thing is always I don't want a cheat day. I want to find a way to just have Thanksgiving. So that's what I did. I found a way. Now, granted, I have to order a bird because the grocery stores order like 4 unsalted birds, and they're gone by the time I get to them. And they're probably suggested by like 3 little old ladies that come in and we're like, I want a little bird. So they order them for them, and then they're gone by the time I get there. So I support locally, and I buy mine from the farm. So of course it's going to be more expensive. And trust me, if you want to know more about where your food comes from, then do a quick search and watch some of the food documentaries like Food Inc. and Super Size It, I think is another one. But on the flip side, if you don't want to know where your food comes from, or if you have a weak stomach or a weak constitution, don't, because it is unbelievably eye-opening, even for somebody like me who does know where it comes from and knows the conditions of meat factories and is the reason why I support farm local.
Grew up in Iowa, those capon factories
right
up there.
Right. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. So it is eye-opening, but you do have the ability to control all of that. And you have the ability to influence all of that based on your shopping habits. Because if you do shop more at farmers markets or support the local farms, they're going to make more money and they're going to be able to do more of what they do. And the grocers and all of that will follow. So I just to show you this whole why wait, for the fun of it and curiosity, I figured I would just search up some numbers here. Now, I searched them up in a matter of like 30 seconds. So if I'm wrong or misspeak, please forgive me, and you're welcome to post the true numbers, but they are pretty close. And then, of course, they're a few years outdated because they don't ever have instant numbers. So for heart disease, and this is in the U.S., $214 billion per year in medical costs.
For heart disease.
For heart disease. Cardiovascular diseases, so a whole group of them. $138 billion in lost productivity due to heart disease.
Wow.
And the predominant factor of heart disease is diet and lifestyle. Diabetes, same thing. Now, granted, there's some people who are flat out born with born. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. All of the people I know that are born diabetic, like because of their parents and because they're born with it, they have it under control pretty much all of their life.
Yep.
And they pay attention and they have that lifestyle because they have an importance around health. $237 billion in medical costs, $90 billion in lost productivity. So obesity.
Hello.
It's not necessarily a disease. It's not a cancer. I mean, yes, it's like addiction or anything else.
It's a great lever towards that.
It's a disease. But when you think like diabetes or heart disease, like those are things that you can be born with. You're not born with obesity. That is a habit that is learned, and granted, it's hard to kick. 190 billion in medical costs, and childhood obesity is at 14 billion in medical costs.
Child.
And these are all things that are purely affected by our lifestyle. So that's why I say, like, if all you do, like, my biggest compliment is when people tell me that I started looking at labels. I didn't start dieting. I didn't start cutting my salt. But even you, like, I started looking, and you know what? It's not all the time, but there's been plenty of times where I can specifically remember going, nope, not eating that. Put it down and looked for a healthier option.
Yep.
Purely because my perspective and my influence influenced you to make a better decision. And that's why I brought up being vegan, because it's the same thing. You don't want to push what you have or push your belief on me. You never have. But the that lifestyle is what you push.
Yeah.
So if I can influence you to be a better person and make a better decision, that's my goal. So if you can put an importance on health, that's my goal. Not that you can't have ice cream or you can't have a steak. It's that you make an effort to learn and educate yourself about health.
What quinoa is.
Right. Which is not the greatest stuff on the planet. And if you haven't been raised on it, but it's not, if you haven't been raised on lima beans, I love Brussels sprouts. I
do
love
too.
them.
Oh,
I'm a cabbage girl. But
love
my
it.
mom and dad, we did boiled dinner. They liked cabbage. My mom loves cabbage. So I grew up on it. And I have a very good friend of mine who will throw darts at you if you bring it within a mile of her.
You chop a little bacon up in there.
Anything.
Oh my God. So
I make it all the time. My husband, we make Brussels. I have
love
an
Brussels
apple
sprouts.
Brussels sprout slaw
Oh,
that is
yeah.
to die for.
delicious.
Absolutely
Sounds
fabulous.
good.
But that's the thing. It's not the food. It's the level of importance we put behind ourselves. And it's always these excuses.
And growing up, when I did, there wasn't
The 1920s?
Yeah,
1990s?
it wasn't about you're eating to fuel your body.
Right.
You're eating until all of it's gone.
Right. And thankfully, my
Right.
parents never did that. It was that, I if they did, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it was never, you had to eat until your plate was empty. It was more of a, you're going to eat what I put out.
Yeah.
And if not, then you're not
You're going
eating.
hungry.
And then when you're old enough, if you don't want to eat what I made, then you can go make yourself something.
Yeah.
So you either be lazy and eat what I've already prepared for you, or you go and find something else for you to eat.
I mean,
So, I've had some
Right.
pretty intense arguments with people who raise their kids that way because that's how they were raised.
yeah, we don't do that in our
Yeah.
house.
It sets a horrible precedent for as far as actual food relationships go. It really does damage children. Don't force them to finish their plate.
Right.
Especially when adults.
Hey, get smaller plates then.
Right. Well, that's what's funny. A plate is actually supposed to be
Right. Now they're huge.
right.
Yeah.
They get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The funny thing is if you actually look at a dinner plate, and most dinner plates are like graduated.
Yeah.
So you have an outer ring and then you have that center ring. The center ring is supposed to be a normal plate.
That's where the food should go.
And then you're supposed to have your 4 servings that don't touch because it's supposed to be 1 to 3 ounces, 1 to 3 ounces.
Yeah.
And you're only supposed to eat a few ounces every meal. So that's what's funny to me is especially when that mentality of you got to eat what's on your plate.
Right.
Because you make a plate that you would make yourself and then give it to a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
That's a lot of food for a tiny little belly.
Well, and I like what you say is that it shouldn't be a relationship with food.
No.
And that's if there's any takeaway today, folks, that should be the takeaway.
Right.
And you won't wait at that point.
Right.
And it becomes a relationship. Hey, every Friday night we have to go to Hardee's because that's
Yep.
what we've always done.
Right.
Well, why?
Right.
Right?
So make it a dinner. You don't
Yeah.
have to go to Hardee's. Go
Right.
figure change the status quo. It's
Yeah.
if you're someone that goes out to Fish Friday every week,
Lot of
find a
people-
healthier
yeah,
Fish Friday.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the deep fried batter, and even if it is
Beer
deep
battered
fried,
cod. Not
it
necessarily.
can be. Just don't salt the hell out of it and put tartar sauce that someone, mixed together in a. Dude, some of the restaurants I've worked in, it really makes you quite. You almost wish that you could do a tour of the kitchen before you go to some of these places. But that's the thing is, it's not that you can't have stuff. It's always I can't. It needs to be about what you can have and how you can make it better.
And what you're saying is, with this, if you wait, it might be too late.
Right.
And as you were saying with heart and
Yeah.
it
Well, that's
could be too late.
So somebody like me, ponder this for a second. So twice in my life, in the very recent past, in 2015 and in 2019, I'm sitting in a hospital bed having a conversation with a specialist. The first time they say, we're pretty sure it's your liver, but your liver, your kidneys, your gallbladder, and your spleen are not responding. So we're going to pump you full of everything we can. And again, we think it's your liver, but as things progress, we'll determine if it's just your liver or if it's everything, and we have to take another course. So slowly, one by one, everything started kicking in and everything started, waking up and getting better. And of course, when you think of this, when I tell people this and they picture some horrific, car accident or crash or whatever, I was at Ace Hardware and my husband looked over me and goes, "Why are your eyes yellow?" Like, so, and I wasn't, a raging alcoholic 6 o'clock in the morning every day or anything like that. But
it was usually 7.
Right. It was 6:45. No. But the second day I was in there, I'm the kind of person who wants to know the facts. So I flat out asked my doctor, what does this mean? What's the mortality? What is the prognosis? What's the likelihood? And what is the normal path that you see people take? Statistically, people with advanced decompensated cirrhosis of the liver have a 50% mortality within the first year.
Wow.
And within the first 3 years, you are on a liver transplant list if you make it past that first year.
So you can
understand the doctor's apprehension when they say, they're looking at you like they've recited this a million times. You got to quit drinking, you got to quit smoking, you got to change your diet. Because they don't expect you to do any of it. So 2 years later, when my doctor's like, "You're the poster child for liver disease," because I'm not on a transplant list, on top of that, I'm not on any medication. I take vitamin D in the winter. But it was all through that lifestyle. And then fast forward, and again, I'm in a hospital bed having a conversation with somebody. And now, granted, this wasn't as much with my lifestyle, but had I changed my lifestyle long ago and valued my health better, then what seems to be an autoimmune disease may not have ever been triggered in the first place. But again, here I am laying in a hospital bed having a conversation with a doctor because I was a fall risk and all I wanted to do was take a dump by myself. But because I was a fall risk, the nurse has to stand outside my door. So she had the neurologist come in and explain to me that 80% of people who have what you have are paralyzed from that part down within 72 hours. So we have to keep you a fall risk for at least the first 72 hours to watch you. Fine. Like, I literally had to promise this lady my life. So she, I will not get off the toilet. You can help me get on the toilet. I know I'm oversharing, but seriously, anybody who's been in the hospital and you try to go, and she left my room and she's like, "I swear to God, I'm going to handcuff you to the bed if you're one of those people who I come and find you sprawled on the floor because you didn't listen to me." So she was nice enough. Thank you, nurse. To let me go to the bathroom, and I rung the little buzzer and she came back and she helped me. So I didn't, violate but she let me go to the bathroom in peace, because otherwise they got to stand right there because people are assholes and they'll be like, "Oh, sure." And they get up and they fall and they sue the hospital. But if I would have put an importance on myself in my own health, and that's the thing. You want to talk about being self-aware. Value your own life. It doesn't have to be food. In general, if people treat you like shit, get new people.
Yeah.
If you're fat, you probably should do something about it. And I get that. Some people, thyroid issues, whatever, you can only do so much. I get it. But if you value yourself, that's where it starts.
Yeah.
It's not easy. That's a hard stone.
I watch the people on, another good documentary is My 600-Pound Lifestyle or whatever that is.
So I saw one.
It's crazy.
And the guy is literally 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And so the producers and the family, they're all in the living room, and they had set up these to show how the caloric intake he has for a day. And it is 2 of those big, huge 6-foot-long party tables that, like the fold-out tables you can get. 2 of those full of just heaping McDonald's, Burger King, whatever. Thousands, like 30,000 calories in it, all on these tables. And they're discussing the show. And all of a sudden you hear this noise and everybody's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" They thought like someone in the house. And here he comes And the lady started bawling. She hadn't seen him walk in like 4 years.
Yeah.
But because there was 2 tables of food and they weren't talking to him, miraculously, he found a way to bear his own weight. But because she enabled him the entire time, I was going,
It's crazy. It is.
holy crap. I couldn't watch any more of that ever again. I was like, there is no way.
Oh, but I mean, that's but to your point. These people have created food as a relationship,
It's an addiction.
as an addiction, as escape, or something of that nature, and they have somebody who's their enabler, and it's not a lifestyle. It tends to become a lifestyle, but then they have to cut them down to 1,000, and then they're literally shearing the fat off of these people like
Cows. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's gross and it's crazy, and it's a lot of people think that's what obesity is. Not necessarily.
No, it's not. And it really isn't. And it is. And there is so much about it with the mental health industry and all that kind of stuff. And we'll dive deeper into some of those things later. But I just thought it was funny. Everybody waits. You don't need to wait. And it doesn't have to be a relationship with food. Just value yourself and be healthy.
Well, that music means we're right at the top of the hour. Now, again, folks, you want to stay tuned to My Loso Lifestyle out on Facebook because there's going to be a new date and a new time for this show.
We'll announce it soon.
But we're also going to do this. And this is for Gwen. We're going to turn that into a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start putting podcasts out there of all the past episodes. And the future episodes will be loaded as well. So if you missed there and you got a podcast, it'll be out on Spotify right off the bat. It'll be there. My Loso Lifestyle.
And we'll announce all of it on the page and the website.
All of it on the page. And the 216 The Net website will be updated.
Soon.
We'll be heading with some good stuff.
Thanks, guys.
See ya. Well, maybe not next week.
Right.
But we'll see you.
I'll be posting. We'll let you know. I'm not going anywhere. Not anytime soon, anyway.
That's right. Going to